Are we talking about holidays, the benefits of, or are we talking about the things we do on holidays we should be bringing back with us and maintain that?
I think they are interlinked. So it's kind of um, I'm basically they did a lot of research, and the research was really quite interesting, and it's about how to have the perfect holiday.
And that would be how?
Oh, I see. So you like, sorry. So yes, so I've been an ambassador for TUI Blue for about 3 years, which you can imagine is like the best job in the universe. Like, oh, can you go and travel for us and go on holiday and then come back and kind of give us your experience? And so I've been to Turkey with them, and I've been to Cyprus, and they're these all-inclusive holidays. And I've got to say, I think all-inclusive holidays are probably my most favorite. They're the least stressful. You don't have to think about anything. Everything is there. Everything is included.
Yeah.
It's just easy, right? And also in terms of price, when things are a bit tight, as I know they are for a lot of people, all-inclusive is nice. You pay what you pay, and that's it. You're done.
So you don't have to worry about every purchase.
Yeah, so what they do is they do this new research, and then they kind of find out what people want, and then go ahead trying to create holidays that can make that happen. So they've got this thing which is like a menu on an app where you can choose, because they've ascertained that there are 5 different types of holiday makers. So we've got like a relaxer. I mean, I think I'm part relaxer. You?
I'm definite relaxer. I thought
Are
you
you?
wouldn't be. I thought you'd be. I thought you'd be in the
No,
gym and climbing mountains and running around down beaches.
I'm doing a bit of that, but what I'd like to have is I'd like to have like morning activity, relax
Mm,
afternoon.
yeah, that
That's
sounds
that's
good.
me. But I am also, there is another type of person on a holiday, which is an itinerary person. That is also me. There's another type of person that is flow, who is like, I'll just see what it's like when I get there. I'm not very good at that.
That's me. That's me.
Is it your
That's me.
flow?
You and I would drive each other
It'd be
mad
good.
because you'd wanna.
No, it'd be
You'd
good.
be on a schedule,
Yeah, but I'd
and I'd be
help
saying,
organise things for
don't
you
tie me
because,
down, man."
Jackie, you'd miss everything because the classes would be full. I don't want that for you. I
Okay,
want you
I'm
to
in
get
your
in on that
hands.
big class. So what I do is I go out, and this time was quite fun because I got to take some people from like online who I follow, and like in fact 2 of them I was like really an early adopter for. So I've been like in love with these influencers for ages. They make me smile, they make me very happy, and it was quite nice to be able to do something for them that I knew they would absolutely bloom and love. And we had such a laugh. So we did dance classes, we did cookery classes, we went snorkeling. Yeah, so we had a great time, all in the name of research. So it was great. So yeah, so
Oh,
like, yeah, I know. I'm extremely lucky. But
I mean,
if
you
you,
are very well known for being really really fit, right? And you have routines at home and schedules, and you're organized. Do you allow yourself to kind of slack off a bit on holiday, or do you or do you feel better if you just keep maintaining that?
yeah, I mean, I suppose one of the bits of research that TUI Blue did that came out that I thought was quite interesting was that people want to go away and become the best versions of themselves. So whether that's a bit more relaxed, a bit more chill, a bit fitter. And I think I don't want to lose the gains that I make when I go on holiday. Like, I feel
Mm,
like if I go away on a 2-week holiday, if I don't exercise at all, and also I am an active person, I get antsy if I just lie around for 6 hours. I want to go and do something.
yeah.
So I think I quite like trying new things. So I tried kind of a thing called active yoga. That was quite interesting, which was a bit more strenuous than yoga, but still had the kind of pillars of yoga to it, which I
Right.
really enjoyed. So I quite like trying something a bit different. I'm not embarrassed about just signing up for a class on my own. Um, sometimes things like that can feel quite daunting when you go into a gym and everybody knows each other. But I think on holiday, nobody knows each other. So you're all in the same
That's
boat.
true. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. The same rules don't apply. I love that.
Yeah. So I like
Cool. Now,
trying new things, I think, normally on holiday.
have you ever had any disastrous holidays?
Oh, I tell you what, I did do 3 years ago. I went on holiday with my partner, and I booked it online last minute. We were going because a friend was having a birthday party out there, and I booked 3 nights in a flat, like an Airbnb type flat. Sorry, I mentioned business, but in Ibiza, but it wasn't on. It was just online. It wasn't via an app or anything. And I
Right.
booked it for 3 nights, and I got to the airport, and it didn't exist.
Oh gosh, you hear about
So
that?
I turned up, and bless him. No, that's one of those times where I was looking at my partner and I thought, I'm actually giving you permission to be really angry with me right now because there isn't a flat. And
I've
he was like,
completely
it can
cocked
happen
this
to the
up.
best of us. Don't worry. At least we're together. We'll have fun, whatever happens. And we ended up going to this party and somebody going, oh, don't worry, I'll bunk in with a friend of yours. Come and stay at our villa. This villa was like off the charts, much nicer than the flat we were renting. And me
Oh
and
my
Michael ended up in
goodness.
bed. We're thinking, how did this even happen? Yeah, it was a bit of a disaster, but ended up being fabulous.
Well, that won't happen if you book through TUI, that's for sure.
It won't.
They've got you well
They've
sussed.
got you covered.
Right, if it's okay with you then, Davina, if you don't mind us having a sort of a little hop, skip, and a jump across the lily
Yes.
pads of your life, but with
Yes.
our musical head on, that would be great. I mean, did you? I know you sort of mainly grew up with your grandparents, but did you have a lot of music around you? I mean, when you were a little kid, before you ever bought your first single, were you hearing and absorbing music by osmosis? And if so, what was it?
So I had a really broad, varied, and rich musical upbringing. So my grandparents brought me up from 3, and I was brought up on trad jazz, blues, and my dad was very into trad jazz and then blues and then bluesy type R&B, soul. So things like my dad would move on to kind of Stevie Wonder, but then I also had a very big French influence in my life. So a lot of the old school French stars like Véronique Sanson, even a bit of like Edith Piaf and the real
Oh
old
wow.
school French crooners. So it was very varied, but really I would say my kind of music would be kind of soul, R&B, jazz. Those are the foundations of my musical heritage.
What about the first single that you ever bought? Do you remember that sort of moment
Yeah.
going to the shops with your money? And what was your first purchase?
Isn't it funny what a big deal that was back then and how it probably is a
Absolutely.
very little deal now? Buying it online doesn't mean anything, but we did save up our money, didn't we, and go to the shop. And it was Oliver's Army by Elvis Costello.
Oh, great one. Wow, that's a
Such a
very
great
cool
track.
first record.
Yeah. My first album is cool now, but it kind of wasn't madly cool at the time, but that was ABBA.
Oh yeah, of
and
course.
and the Muppets,
Always cool.
the
Muppets.
album. Yeah.
I know that you've met and interviewed many famous people in your life, but I think I can outdo you. Have you
Oh, go
snogged
on.
Kermit?
No, but I have had a fight with Piggy.
Oh, okay. All right, where are you on that score?
No, but wait, tell me about Kermit. How did that happen?
I was just interviewing him when I was living out in the States, and just at the end, I got a bit amorous and asked for a snog, and he went for it.
So jealous.
Got filthy looks from Miss Piggy, I have to say.
I bet you did. Well, I was talking to him on MTV, and he was pointing at my tummy piercing, and he was like, "Look at this, Miss Piggy. You should get one of these." And I said, "You have to have a flat tummy to get one of these."
You bitch.
And she literally tore a piece off me. Like, you know, when she just goes to someone, she kept calling me, for the rest of the interview, she called me the wrong name.
It's just so brilliant.
Funny. Yeah.
Okay, let's move it along then to first live gig of note, like not a school band or anything, but you know somebody
exactly
that you
what
would know. What was it?
I went to Paris because my mum and my sister lived there, and I took a really good friend of mine from school called Tamsin Horton, and she and I must have been maybe 13 years old, and we went to Paris and we went to see Hazel O'Connor.
Oh, another cool one.
And during the gig, she looked at it and she said, "Is there anyone here from London?" And me and Tamsin were right at the front. We put our hands up and she said hello.
Oh, that's very cool. How amazing. Breaking Glass.
Yeah,
What an album.
Yeah, it's so good. And it was just at that era. It was
At that
so
time.
exciting. Yeah.
And then you did, I think, didn't you want to be a singer, want to be a musician, and sort of threw yourself into that? Tell us a little bit about that journey as you became a young adult.
Yeah. So I was in a jazz band when I was about 15 or 16 for fun with kind of 2 or 3 guys. And we did kind of little gigs, parties, people's parties and stuff. And I really enjoyed that. And we did maybe, I don't know, like a half-hour set or something. I loved that and I loved singing. The thing for me is that I would have been a great backing vocalist. I'm brilliant at harmonizing. I love music. I love singing and I've got a good ear, but I just don't have a voice. You know, when you hear somebody like an Adele or you hear somebody like a Beyonce or a Tay-Tay and you think you recognize their voice immediately. I just didn't have that. I wasn't different or different enough, but I did want to have a career in music, and I did go off and I recorded some demos and stuff, and then Polydor heard about the demos, and then Eric Clapton produced and played on the demo, and Rob Fraboni was producing it, and it was like really exciting. I was 18 or 19. I'd actually known Eric most of my life, because he was a very good friend of my aunt's.
Right.
Or his wife was a very good friend of my aunt's, and and then that didn't work out. And I've actually had a scrapbook which is hilarious, and I've got a brilliant picture of me on the day I found out I didn't have a record deal with Polydor, and I took a photograph. Or I've got the actual bus pass with the photograph on it from that day, and my face looks so glum. You know, this was the girl that thought she was going to be recording an album, and here she was getting on a bus. It was really funny.
That's so tough.
But then
and you've got Eric Clapton on there. It's sort of a double whammy.
No. I mean, what was interesting was that he was so amazing and such a brilliant, obviously is such a brilliant musician, but I just didn't have a voice to say, actually, could I make it sound a bit more like this? Or I was a young girl with very experienced musicians and I was just too nervous. I didn't know what I was doing.
And who would have been your peers at that time, Davina? Who would have been like, who would not you would have compared yourself to, but to the left and right of you, who was also trying to break through?
I was dating a drummer at the time, and he was in Public Image Limited. And at the time, all the people, the person that I really liked, who's the person that sang Black Velvet? Anyway, I kind of liked sultry kind of rock, bluesy rock. That's what I wanted to do. Like Sheryl Crow, when she came out, I was like, what I would have given.
Alana Miles, it's come to me.
Alana Miles, thank you. Her, Sheryl Crow, those kind of people. Even though that probably wasn't the music that I listened to at home, that's what I liked singing.
Right.
So it was quite a thing. And then my boyfriend said, look, you know, I'm not sure it's happening for you with the singing. And I was hurt, but I was actually really pleased he said that, because it was almost like I just needed someone to give me permission to let it go. Yeah. And he said, you should go and work at MTV. You'd be hilarious. But I didn't even know MTV was a thing. And then they launched in the UK. Well, they launched in Europe. And I was running clubs at the same time as working at Models One, and was asked to entertain the pop stars from London to Amsterdam for the launch party. So I dressed up as a cleaning lady. Friends of mine, we took tea urns full of champagne down the train and met all the pop stars and everything. And at the end of that night, I thought, I have to work at MTV. This is it. So I spent 3 years. I got one telephone number from someone that night, and I spent 3 years begging them to give me an audition. And then after 3 years, they did. Yeah.
And what was that experience like, you know, to sort of, so you're doing interviews with sort of pop stars and introducing them, doing live stuff, I'm presuming?
Yeah. I mean, my first job in telly ever was in Denmark Street. And there was an amazing presenter called Ray Cokes, and he had a TV program that I loved called Most Wanted. And they did a whole day of live television. And I was Ray Cokes's roving reporter. So I was live all day in Denmark Street. And the idea was that I was trying to find a musician to play any instrument with Crowded House on his show that night.
Oh my God.
And it was mad. And I worked like ever since that day.
And what about pinch me moments or extraordinary moments when you found yourself in the company of people you greatly admired, or perhaps people who were much more difficult than you'd anticipated, as also happens?
I had Oasis in the studio one day, and I was just trying to be all excitable and kind of excited about the music, and they were brilliantly pop star, kind of neutral, just can't be asked, like, who's this really annoying person? And so that was really funny. I had a real pinch me moment. I met Aerosmith at Donington, and they were really nice to me. I was very new and very wet behind the ears, and they were so giving. And I remember thinking, wow, they don't have to be this nice to me. They're one of the biggest rock groups in the world, and they're so lovely. So that was amazing. I mean, all the stuff we did with all the boy bands and Take That, the Spice Girls, all of that was so much fun. We did some mad stuff on MTV with all of those guys, and we had such a laugh. It was riotous.
It was a great time for you to be in the midst of all that, especially, I think, sort of through the Spice Girls era. I mean, they really changed the music industry in a lot of ways, not completely, and there are still issues and there are still problems to be met, but they really did change the trajectory, I think, for women.
And I think it was such a funny time, ladette culture was like the thing, and Zoe Ball and Sarah Cox and the Girly Show, and suddenly we were all like, we can do what we want, we can say what we want, we can be naughty. It was so liberating,
Did you ever have any experiences of being invited on stage? Did you ever get any kind of, oh my gosh, I can't believe dream come true moments?
When I was much younger, weirdly, I wasn't invited on stage, but if anybody ever asked for somebody to come on stage, I was such a show off that I would literally be the first person. So I went to see Kid Creole and the Coconuts when I was maybe 15 or 16, again in Paris. And they said in the middle of their gig, does anybody want to come on stage? I was the first person on there. Like, I was running. Get away, get out! So I did that. Yeah, that was good.
Did you ever have any moments where you...
Oh, I tell you what,
Go on.
I sang with Michael Hutchence for a moment. We were in a covers band in Australia. I lied in Australia. I was 18. I said I was in a band. And I said I was just, they'd sent me off to Australia to have a rest before my album came out. I was such a liar because I'd seen this guy was doing some jazz stuff. And I said, can I come and sing with you? I'm a singer in the UK. Just like literally. Bob. I have told them all since, by the way, that it was a lie.
That was a big fat
fib. I had to fess up in the end, yeah. But it was lots of people in bands who were all coming together to form one big band while they weren't working. And it was called the Wayback Five with Phil Sobrano and Kate Sobrano, and they're quite big in Australia. And and Michael Hutchence came and did a couple of gigs with us.
How amazing!
Yeah,
did you ever have Did you ever
later? But not, that was before, when we were all young and innocent.
And yeah. I mean, did you ever have a moment when you were sort of starting to make your way in the music industry as you were with MTV, where you thought, oh, I want to give it another go? I don't want to introduce them. I want to be them. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it'll always be in my blood. Me and my partner do an unhealthy amount of karaoke on our own at home. We are both frustrated pop stars.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
I've got quite a few. There's one by Lizzie. I love a song by Lizzie McAlpine. So I love her. I love Bonnie Raitt, any old Bonnie Raitt. I love her.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably quite wanted to be Bonnie Raitt. And I also love a bit of Disney. Give me. Ariel, the Little Mermaid. Love that.
Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very sweet.
A bit of Pocahontas.
Can't go wrong with a bit of Pocahontas.
Around the river bend. Yeah, love it.
How about, I know it must be very hard to choose, but of all the many gigs you'll have seen over the years, whether you were out front or watching from the
Easy.
wings.
This is
Go on.
easy, Jackie.
Go on.
3.
Yeah.
Coldplay. Any Coldplay in the last 5 years. Oh my God, spiritual is like going to church. Second, Jacob Collier. I got him early doors. I must have been in one of the first Jacob Collier choir gigs that he did, and it was at Brighton in a tiny venue. Oh my God, cried the whole way through it. I'm the biggest Jacob Collier fan. And thirdly, U2, we just went to Vegas to see them at the Sphere. They were so good, but the visuals,
wow.
everything, the vibe, I mean, it was unbelievable.
And that was just recently?
Yeah, like a month ago. Unbelievable. I think they finish in March, beginning of March, but they've been on kind of I can't remember what you call it because I'm so blooming menopausal, but when they do something anyway, when they do they've been there since October last year, September, October. Residency, thank you. Oh God, that was like doing a poo. Oh,
I'm right there with you. Listen, thank you so much for doing all the stuff that you've done on the menopausal thing. You've made it okay to talk about it. Where are you in your fun journey?
So still taking hormone replacement therapy. Obviously get checked every year to make sure that it's still agreeing with me. But, you know, most days I feel pretty good. Some days I'm a bit more forgetful than others, but I'm a lot kinder to myself when that does happen. And I don't feel embarrassed to say it out loud, which is such a nice feeling because I remember I used to really beat myself up for not being able to remember something. And now I see it as just part of aging and part of where I'm at. And I should just appreciate that I'm still alive, you know, and enjoying life.
Yeah. Still here to enjoy it.
Well, madam,
before we let you go, we're still here, Mrs. Let's get you to pick the final track of the hour. Now, this is a bit tricky because there's quite a few parameters to navigate for you.
Yes, give me the parameters, yes.
Parameters are, it can't be anyone you've already mentioned, because if you've mentioned someone, we'll have played music by them by the time we put this together. So somebody you haven't mentioned yet. Has to be a hit, can't be an obscure album track where the greatest hits. And it has to be of the 70s, 80s or 90s, please. And a song, obviously, that means something to you for some reason, whether it's just because it makes you feel good or there's a memory attached, whatever it might be.
I would like to choose You Are in My System by System.
Okay, because
it got remixed recently by Kerry Chandler, and I always think, God, that is amazing when an old track, it's from the 80s or 90s, when an old track gets revisited by a modern DJ mixer and it goes mad, and you think that is a good quality song because it still sounds good now. You could remix it into any style and it would sound great. The melody is amazing, but it reminds me of when I was underage in nightclubs. I'd be about 16 wearing some godforsaken outfit with way too much skin showing, and I'd be in the middle of the dance floor and they'd put this song on, and it was my first understanding of my drug of choice is music. Before I took any kind of narcotic, music was the thing that got me high. And I would listen to this song and it would make my heart sing, and I'd be overcome with this amazing feeling of euphoria. And that's what I love about music, that it can take you somewhere and literally take you out of yourself or out of your situation and make you feel amazing. Or it can make you feel awful if you need a really good cry. But this one isn't one of those. It's a happy one.
I love it. It's a brilliant last choice and a beautiful way of speaking about how you feel about your connection to music. Thank you so much, lovely Davina, for your time today. It's been a lovely chat, and I'm coming on holiday with you to get organised and get me in all the classes.
Yeah, great. I don't want you to miss anything, Jackie.
You're very kind. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Bye.